Fear is the enemy.
Bag your CD music box.
Whatever it is that you're going for, man, go hard. Hold on, never give up. You gotta have that mentality, man. I put in the work, I spent a lot of time on the waiting list. Never complained, I ain't never said shit. Shoot my shot, no fear if I miss. Imagine you chasing a dream that you love, only to find out it wasn't enough. You fall on your face, but you get right back up. And you fall back again, but you get right back up, yeah. That's the way that it's always been. Don't nobody care about the grind but you. Nobody putting in the time but you. Make up your mind who you wanna be. I know who I am, I know what I want. Live by 2 words, mama mentality. And that's word to my mom, word to my pops, word to my little bro. They said make your mistakes, but don't make excuses on why you can't live and learn. On a couple occasions I damn near went broke, chasing this music thing. And I ran out of hope, I threw in the towel, said fuck the hole in the street. I kept on writing and touring. I picked up a job cause I knew it was important. The money I made, I would stash it away just to fund my recordings. And I didn't wanna stop cause I didn't know how. I would lay in my room by myself late at night and I finally figured it out. I just wanna be the best version of me, make all the music that I wanna make. I don't care what nobody gon' say. You miss all of the shots you don't take. And the answer is no, if you don't ask. If it gets hard, this too shall pass. God is my witness and he got the plan. He got the plan. I put in the work, I spent a lot of time on the waiting list. Never complained, I ain't never said shit. Shoot my shot, no fear if I miss. Imagine you chasing a dream that you love, only to find out it wasn't enough. You fall on your face, but you get right back up. And you fall back again, but you get right back up, yeah. That's the way that it's always been. Don't nobody care about the grind but you. Nobody putting in the time but you. Make up your mind who you wanna be. I know who I am, I know what I want. Live by 2 words, mama mentality. Yeah. Remember, man, you only in competition with yourself. Enjoy the journey. Enjoy the process. Pleasure and pain. R.I.P. the greatest. 0824.
Check 1 2, check 1 2. What's going down, y'all? It's your buddy DH. I am happy to be back in the building with this lens that's sideways. What's going on, y'all? Thank you guys for being here at Circle Talk. We're back. I do apologize for the inconvenience this weekend. We were supposed to be meeting up with a good friend of mine, Devontae, and he got extremely busy, and that's okay because we're gonna still link up a little bit later on into the year and do that interview for those that were looking forward to that one. But today, I'm excited to bring a young man in that has been doing a lot of amazing things on the East out there in Pennsylvania. I ain't even been out there yet, but I want to go. I want to head out to the PA. So as soon as we can link up and talk about that, I'm gonna head out there and see what it's all about out there. But I'm excited to have a conversation with this young man. He's been doing some amazing work out there, doing his rap thing, hip hop music, and not just regular hip hop music, but music with meaning. So we're going to jump in and talk a little bit about that, about his journey in his life. Talk a little bit about his mom's and what his future is looking like in the music scene. So we're going to welcome Cameron Hall, a.k.a. Rap Star, into the building and learn a little bit more about him. So without further ado, I want to just give a huge shout out to all my sponsors, iShotCheck.com. Thank you so much for always supporting me. If you are locally in the area and looking for somebody to get your pictures done and get them done right, hit up iShotCheck.com and tell them I sent you. It'll give you a great discount, especially right now when the sun is out. It's 80 degrees today, y'all. If y'all didn't know, it's probably 90. I don't even know. It's so hot. I'm sweating sitting here. For real. All right. Next one, Icon ENT. Anybody looking for someone to get them somewhere and get them there right? And a party bus extravaganza, my guy Willie Jr. Thomas is the man you want to talk to about getting you where you need to get to. He's on top of the party bus events anywhere he goes. He does great discounts. You just got to let him know exactly how many people you're going to be bringing with you, and he'll make it work for you. Let him know I sent you. He'll give you a great discount. Next, we're going to go ahead and slide over to the Chaya movement. Thank you so much, Zakia, for continuing to be an amazing asset into our community. If you guys have not heard anything about the Chaya movement or the Chaya fashion, make sure you guys look up ChayaFashion.com and learn more about anything that Zakia has going on. She is in the turning rags to riches world. If anybody's anybody's looking to buy cheap clothing or even donate clothing, she will pick those things up and bring them back to life for someone that could really use them. So thank you so much for your continued service, Zakia, and thank you for continuing to support us. Last but not least, want to give a huge shout out to our good friend Marquita Evans over at Tensions Juice and Smoothies Bar on 56 in Portland Ave, or 56 in South Tacoma Way, I should say. If you guys have not hit out there and hit her up, please make sure you guys hit her up as soon as possible. She's got a few new stores that she's going to be opening up, one in Seattle and another one real close to here. Hit her up. And also, if you guys aren't busy this Wednesday, Poetry and Intentions is going down at Intentions Juice and Smoothies Bar on 52nd in South Tacoma Way. If you guys have not been to one, I've been to every single one of them. Trust me, if you're into the poetry thing, it's going to be an amazing show. So make sure you guys show up. Wednesday, 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. is Poetry and Intentions going down again. So make sure you guys come through. I'll be there. All right. So without further ado, that's enough from all my sponsors. Thank you guys so much for your continued support and everything that I do. We're going to bring on the man, the myth, the legend, the one that we're here to see. Mr. Rap Stars in the building. Let's go.
Yo, what's up? What's up? Check. Mic check. 1 2 1 2. What's up? What it do?
How you doing today, man?
Oh man, I'm great, man. Just great. Just got off of work. It's a Monday. I'm chilling. Appreciate you for having me on the show. It's real dope, man. I was just actually looking at my wife. I was like, yo, that I Shot You. I said, that's a hard title, man. That's that title was gangster.
Hey, and I've known this man for over 20 years. He's one of the biggest and baddest photographers, videographers, media men in the area right now. Really doing his thing.
That's what's up. Me and him, we might have to link up because I got some ideas, man. I got some ideas.
So let's talk about you, though, man. First off, I want to thank you for making this time. I do have to say something personally. I want to apologize because I absolutely doubled on Saturday. And I know that we had talked Saturday months ago we were doing this. And,
right.
And I totally spoke from you and somebody else. I do want to apologize to you face to face for making that miss. I appreciate you.
Appreciate you, no doubt.
So what I want to do is talk a little bit about you. I don't want to talk too much about I want to learn about Cameron Hall. And so what I want you to do is where I started, how you raised, family. A little bit about that.
All right. So I'll take you back. I'm gonna take you back to the 90s. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. The 90s, the early 90s. I'm a 90s baby.
Absolutely.
I was born in 19. I was established February 7th, 1991. Okay. So both of my parents, shout out to my mom, shout out to my father. My father is a big instrumental part to me being a hip hop artist and me getting into my to the music business.
Mm-hmm.
My mom being that, what her occupation was, I was brought around it. My mom, she actually worked at two Pittsburgh radio stations.
Oh, okay.
One was called what was it? The other one was called WCXJ. It was actually in an area called Homewood. I'm from a place in Homewood. I'm a place in Pittsburgh called Homewood. I'm from Pittsburgh. It is a place called Homewood. And her station was literally right next to the Catholic school that I went to. Like, if I got in trouble, all the teacher had to do was open the window, type shit.
Yeah.
Excuse my language. But it was like that. So it was like really, really close.
Yeah.
And I remember my mom, me and her, we actually used to do like radio commercials. There was like a local shoe store.
Yeah.
And it had me at the age of like 3 and 4 on the mic saying, "Hey mom, I need shoes. I need shoes, mom. Mom, I need shoes."
Yeah.
And she's like, "Kids, they always need this, that, and the third. That's why I go to such and such, such and such, That was like my first little introduction, to the game. And then my mom, to keep me busy, I would put the cassette tapes where they, like the little tapes in the radio stations where they put the thing, you put it here, put it there and everything. So I was around all of that. My mom also worked for another radio station called Whammo. At this time, Whammo was on fire. We only had about like 2 black stations in the area. Now we only got 1. So, because of that, WCXJ was more of a talk show. We had people who was actually, professors talking and people who actually had a following. They would do talk shows. The talking side. Whammo was more the music business. So my mom, she worked on the weekends. I would go over to my dad's house like every other weekend. And I would go to work with her. Even if it was on the weekends with him, she would bring me to work and she would drop me off over my dad's and everything. So when that happened, I was around the local DJs. Shout out to DJ Black Steel. He was the one that taught me how to copyrights. He would turn me, the switchboards and everything. He actually gave me a mixtape, a whole mixtape that he done with featured artists, other artists, himself, Whammo at the time used to give me boxes and boxes of singles. You remember the singles, when you had the whole artists come out with like the CDs, when they come out with their debut album and they have the singles and you have like 4 tracks on it. You have like the album cover, this radio version, the instrumental, the call out hook and everything. And I had a ton of artists in my arsenal, from rap to R&B, the different artists and everything. So when all of this is going around, I'm driving around in my dad's car. Imagine it's like 1996 in the middle of the summer where you're looking down the block and you see the heat waves because it's so hot. He's driving in a Cadillac. I got the seat belt that burns your skin because it's the metal, and your dad got the wood grain in the Cadillac, and he got the leather seats that also burn your back, So imagine him, driving with the AC on, and then he's playing Bone Thugs, and then he's playing Tupac, he's playing Biggie, he's playing Nas. One of the artists that is one of my influences, he used to play heavy, LL Cool J. Shout out to my uncle. He would tell us every day he used to cut me and my cousins and his son's hair, and he would go on and on how LL Cool J is the greatest of all time and how every album that he came out with platinum. You know what I'm saying? So having this musical background kind of shaped me into the artist that I am. And then when I was with my great grandmother, actually, she used to go to a senior citizens place.
Yeah.
And they knew me from like I was like 4 all the way up until like 18. So they watched me grow up. And they had like a lounge where you got the little old ladies doing their "Well, you can feel it, it's electric." Woogie, they doing that and everything. You got the old guys in the back playing pool and everything. And there's a lounge, there's like a big TV screen. So I'm watching, TV on a TV screen, and I'm watching VH1, I'm watching MTV, I'm watching Carson Daly. I'm watching this.
Yeah.
And one of the artists that I actually gravitated towards, like, I always been around dope, MCs. My dad, he would play hip hop artists all the time. But the artist that actually made me say, you know what? I think I want to do this. And it was right when Eminem and D12 came out with their, single Blue and Yellow Purple Pills.
Okay.
And I never seen a video like that and how people be rapping like that. And it made me interested. And Eminem at that time was my favorite artist. He still is. He's my number one. At that time, I was a Shady fan.
Yeah.
I was a fan of D12. I was a fan of Obi Trice. I was a fan of Bobby Creekwater. I was a fan of Dr. Dre, NWA. So it's like, the list goes on and on.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, 2002 came. 2003, you had 50 Cent. 50 Cent signed to Shady.
Yeah.
At that time, 50 became my number two. Right after M, I'm like, yo, M just signed another dope rapper. I rock with him. And then soon enough, here comes G Unit. And Eminem is the reason why I started rapping. 50 Cent and the G Unit is the reason why I took it serious. So what I used to do was there was like a little record store in a neighborhood called Wilkinsburg called Upbeat Records. They closed now.
Yeah.
But what happened was I used to go down there and I used to buy mixtapes, $5 mixtapes. I would buy the G Unit Radio mixtapes. I would buy DJ Who Kid mixtapes. I would buy DJ Envy, DJ Clue, DJ K Slay, R.I.P. Funk Flex, Cut Master C. Love De Niro. I would buy my dad, he was heavy into the mixtape game too. So he would buy a lot of mixtapes, and that's where I got it from, with all the mixtapes and the street wars and the battles and the beef, and everything. And that kind of made me have like a hunger. And this is where I have the punchlines. I get my punchlines from listening to these old records. Also, what I used to do is I used to get G Unit and 50 Cent instrumentals from the corner store. $5 CDs that had every hit record that they had, and they had the instrumentals. And I learned how to write just by going off of the song. So I'm like, okay, the chorus is here. The verse goes here. So I'm counting the bars. Okay, that's 16 bars right there. So that means 16 bars for each verses. 4 bars that repeats for the hook. Don't forget the bridge in between the songs and everything. So I learned how to write a song format just by writing to 50 Cent instrumentals and G Unit instrumentals, Dr. Dre instrumental, Timberland instrumentals, Yeah. So that's where I was self-taught. And then I would watch a lot of my favorite artists, at that time, they was really at their peak. So I got like my top 5 artists that if their DNA was all meshed together, it would have came out me. Number 1, Eminem, Slim Shady. 2, 50 Cent. But not only 50, the whole G Unit. We talking about Banks, Buck, Yayo, even Game, and some of the add-ons like Game, like Olivia, Mobb Deep. Even though Mobb Deep is an older group, they signed to 50 at that time. And Mobb Deep's one of my favorites too. But so it's M, 50, the G Unit, LL Cool J. LL Cool J is one of my top influences. Then I got DMX. DMX is another one of my influences. I had a pleasure of meeting him 2 years before he died. Shout out to my homie True Live for making that happen. Cool. But it was a dope connection. And then last but not least, and people get surprised when I say this, the last one is Lil' Kim.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I get that same reaction. She you know what? I followed her. What I think her first album came out in like 96. Yeah. So I was like 5 then. So I'm listening to all of these songs that that was out at that time, because my first song that I actually wrote was to the remix of Biggie Smalls' Big Papa. and it was called Rap Star. I don't even remember half of it. It's like Rap Star. Do you really want to be a rap star? Do you really want to know who you are? Up to the top, I'm climbing high. I want to be one of the greatest MCs up in the sky. Rap star. Like I was rapping like this when I was like I want to say around like 11. I started writing, and then I had notebooks. I still got notebooks piled up to the sky with rhymes and everything. Like when Eminem came out with 8 Mile, it was kind of like me. I was the kid, you know, in the back of the school bus with his headphones writing rhymes in the back. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm a rapper's rapper, you know. And with that being said, being that I have this power, being that I have the pen, being I have this gift, I want to help elevate the status of my people through my lyrics. And I think that's like a biggest thing that we're missing in hip hop is we don't have a lot of versatility. So when in the 90s and in early 2000s, you had so many different artists with so many different styles, and they was the top selling artists at the time. You didn't have no saturation of just one thing. You didn't have no saturation of just one artist. You know, multiple artists was hitting those points. You know, you could have Eminem, Ludacris, and freaking Weird Al Yankovic all hit #1 charts at the same time.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, it's crazy. Like you could have 5 different female rappers. You could have Lil' Kim. You could have Left Eye. You could have Angie Martinez. You could have Lady of Rage. You could have Roxanne Shante. You could have the real Roxanne. You could have Foxy Brown. All of them were different.
Yeah,
it wasn't no cookie cutter type of situation. Like I'll be looking at it and I'll be like, how many rappers today got dreads and tattoos?
That's true.
All of them look like they could be like Lil Wayne's son.
Yeah.
No disrespect, but I'm looking at it and I'm like, dang, everybody got this style? Everybody? The only people that I remember really rocked the locks was Rastafarians.
Yeah.
You know, so
you see a lot of not just in appearance, but the way that people grow, the music that they
it's all the same. It's all the same.
Everybody's biting everybody, it seems like nowadays. Music has been so like dilute. It's a great way to put it. You know, it's
been diluted because you have people in certain areas, because it's not everywhere, but like I had some like there's sometimes I might have some resistance with my music from down south. Now, being that I'm from the East Coast and I'm influenced by the East Coast style because I'm East Coast, but I also kind of got like a West Coast style too, because there's been a couple tracks. Shout out to King Peter Hustler from Washington, Washington State. He's from the West Coast, and he got like that West Coast, you know, Chicano style, you know, type joint, you know. And when me and him do tracks, we made a song called Coast to Coast recently. It's on all platforms, by the way, but it's a dope song. Even though I'm from the East Coast, I mesh well with the West because, you know, people mess with each other. So if I'm like, yo, my favorite rapper is 50 Cent, my next favorite rapper is Eminem, but they're both signed to Aftermath, which is a West Coast record label. You know what I'm saying? So it all meshes together. But when I go down south, or I'll play people down, you know, play my music down south, some of the people down there have resistance because they're used to only one style. They're only used to, because it's that culture down there. You know, it's the trap, it's the mumble rap, it's the drill music. You know, most of the people down south who didn't want to mess with my raps, they was like, nah, we ain't trying to think, we ain't trying to grasp nothing. All we want to do is just shake our dreads and sweat. You know, that's all we want to do.
Right.
And it's like, you got to be versatile because there's a time and place for everything.
For sure.
You know, there's, you know, you got people who listen to music because they don't want to think. All they want to do is just move their body. And that's all well and good, but I'm like, you're missing a point. in a lot of music. Like you go and you listen to Marvin Gaye and you listen to what's going on. There's some people that just shake their head because they just love the melody and the harmonizing that that he does.
Yeah.
But there's some people who's going to listen to it and really be like, yo, he's saying some stuff.
Dissect words,
I watched an interview. I think it had like Bob Marley's grandchildren or something like that, and they was talking about the song "No Worries," and it was like everybody think this is a feel good song. Meanwhile, in the verse is talking about babies crying. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Sometimes people be focusing on the wrong stuff. And music that I make, I want people to literally, if you ever had inspirations like to try to better your education, and no matter if it's 2 years for associate, 4 years for a bachelor, and then if you decide to go on beyond that to like graduate school, I feel like the same information that you would acquire by taking the time to go to these college classes, you would have those same type of information within my music. And all I'm just do is giving you 16, 17 an hour.
So let me ask you something. So as you was kind of breaking your upbringing, was your mom into like religion and your dad wasn't?
Can you say that one more time?
Was your mother into religion? You said you went to Catholic school?
Well, okay, so my mom, I can't really say religious. I'll say she's spiritual. I won't say that she's religious. She's spiritual. I went to a Catholic school because my mom thought it was a better option to send me to a Catholic school because they got a better curriculum, better than public, and they do. So, and it was a predominantly like my older sister, she went there. So when my older sister went there, we're 8 years apart.
Yeah.
So when my mom, sent her there, of course, soon after, the baby got to go too.
Yeah.
And my dad helped pay. My dad helped pay for the tuition and everything. So, but as far as religion, actually, my father's father was a minister. I'm actually an atheist. So, that's just how it is. My dad, he's the one that taught me about the Bible. Every time I have these religious debates with people, and when I have these debates, sometimes their reactions and what they say literally just like further my disbelief of the religion, because some of the stuff that they're saying, like I tell them, I said, my grandfather was a minister. He owned his own church. My father actually taught me the Bible. Not only taught me the Bible, but also taught me about my ancient African Egyptian ancestors. And when I tell them certain scriptures of the Bible, that what it really means, because in my opinion, I feel like the Bible is not really meant to be taken seriously, but they're life lessons like Aesop fable. Because there's certain things in the Bible that just does not make sense mathematically, scientifically, reality. Some of the stuff, it just does be like, nah, it's not happening. So some of these people will say, well, your dad and your grandfather, they didn't teach you about the Bible right. And I'm like, how can you say that? And my grandfather was a minister. So my family, being that my dad, he was the son of a minister, that side of the family was a little bit more religious. My dad at a point is not, because he went against the Bible to actually learn about Egyptian history, the real Egyptian history, where the Bible came from, where Christianity came from. So he was the one that brought me up on game. And then when I went to college and I started researching, stuff, through college and on my own up until this day, about, our black and brown people and how we was forced into these religions. This is the reason why black people, are Christians. And this is all a part of my history that I learned, because I got a bachelor's in history. So I specialize in an African, Latino, Native American history. I mix with all three, so that's me. Yeah. So when I tell people, I say, you got 56 countries in Africa. Africa's a continent. You got 56 countries in Africa. Do you think all of those people worship the same God? No, they don't. You got people who they got different belief systems. I said, that's just what it is. But people like to lump Africa all together. They can say, they could talk about the difference between Spanish and Portuguese and French and Italian and Britain and Scotland and everything like that. But when it comes to Africa, they just lump everybody together. Yeah. So within my music, I'm teaching that. And there's a lot of people that's going to be afraid of it. And a lot of people that's not going to understand it, because they're used to hip hop artists not speaking on these subjects. Yeah, or the ones that are speaking on the subjects, they're not spotlighted enough, because it brings truth, it brings enlightenment.
Mm-hmm. So you've kind of given me a breakdown journey into your music. I guess is a good way to put it. And you picked five people that you would say your music kind of has pieces of.
If you would, I'm telling you, if I was like, and my music's on Pandora, so if you would go to my station, just when I was sending you those links, right? I was going on my Pandora. And the first thing I played on my Pandora was LL Cool J's Doing It.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And my wife looked at me and she said, "What you playing that for?" I said, "Yo, it's on, like, when you're an artist, they have artists that's similar to you." So I was like, that's what happened. Yeah. I was like, that's just what it is, yo.
So I had my iPhone, and I'm actually on and obviously the first thing I see is 90-ish.
1990-ish, baby. Woo!
Tell me a little bit about that.
Oh man, I had fun making that record, man. It's my second single that I have released so far. I got other singles that I'm releasing. These are my only two, is Power to My People and 1990-ish. There's other songs that I'm releasing, but I'm in doing some groundwork because they got samples in it. So I'm trying to talk to everybody and have everybody in agreement so I can clear those samples and everything. I'm doing a lot of work under there, like on the table, man, like with that, like it's crazy. But I got some hits coming. But 1990-ish was produced by New York Bangers. Shout out to New York Bangers. I heard the beat on YouTube.
Okay.
And when I heard the beat, I instantly fell in love with it, because it was like your classic East Coast boom bap hardcore, spinning on your head with the kickstand, Kangol, gold chain type graffiti. It was crazy. I was like, yo, this is hip hop for real. Yeah. And I went to him and I bought the beat. And when I bought the beat, I wanted to hit hard. Like, I really wanted to just like kill it lyrically. And I was like, yo, I gotta do it. So the crazy thing about it is, when you're a writer, sometimes when you write, sometimes you don't write traditional. Some people might actually sit down and write a song and they'll start out with the hook or with the chorus or this, that, and the third and the verses and everything. What happened was I actually wrote a 16 for another person, for a DJ. I was writing a 16. And part of the 16, it said, it's rap to the star, rocking a blue Kangol, Puerto Rican pendant on the chain, watch it dangle. That was part of the verse. And then I was going back and I was rapping it. And then I put on the beat and everything. And I was just like, it's rap to the star. Because what I do is when I'm writing a song or writing a verse, sometimes I'll spit it on many different beats just to get a feel of the vibe it has. Yeah. So when I wrote it, I rapped the verse. And then when I came to it's rap to the star, and I was like, oh, snap. I was like, yeah, this is the hook right here, baby. This is the hook. This is what's going to set the tone. Yeah. So when it dropped in, it's rap to the star, rocking the blue Kango, Puerto Rican pendant on the chain, watch it dango. New York bangers came with another hit. It's rap to the star, my 1990-ish. Being that I'm born in 1991, I'm a 90s baby. And the fact that my style is 90s and early 2000 hip hop. So that's my style. So I was like, yo, I'm on my 1990-ish. You know, I got my 90s baby chain. You know, you see the charm, man. This is 90s baby chain, man, right there, man. Right. I bought that on my birthday. I think it was like what? My 31st or my 30th? 30? That was 3 years ago? 2? Oh yeah. Okay, yeah. Well, I don't remember it was that long ago. But yeah, so it's like but it's like, you know, I had that feeling. So when I started writing the rhymes, it just started coming natural. So the punchlines came. I wanted to punchline. What I try to do is for every song, I try to outdo myself. I am my own competition. So I try to top myself. So with Power to My People, I released that on my birthday a year ago. February 7th, I dropped that. And then I dropped 1990-ish September 10th. Yep. And so the Power to My People was just straight to the point. It was a message to the Black, brown, and indigenous people of this country, of not only this country, but North, South, Central, and the Caribbean American, you know? So once I did that, I was like, okay, let me give them something else. Because I got 2 alter egos. I got Rap Star and I also got Hurricane Cam. Hurricane Cam is like my Slim Shady to my Eminem. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, that's what it is. And then being that I'm a G-Unit fan, I like Game lyrically. I like Game. And when he broke off, when he got kicked out of G-Unit, he created Hurricane Game. And Hurricane Game at that time, Game was serious when he was on there. So I took Hurricane and now Hurricane Cam, and it's like Hurricane Cam is like the hardcore lyricist. You know, that's what I am. I'm a lyricist. I go in, I eat MCs. You know, Rap Star, he's the hip hop guy. You know, he's the guy that, you know, rocks the Kangles. He's the one, you know, that will give you, you know, that flavor. But Hurricane Cam is the one who stands up and he fights for his people, and give the world what they need to listen to when it comes to us and what we need.
So in your opinion, what's the difference between rap music and hip-hop music?
Rap music is for is commercial success. That's what it is. It's for commercial success. Hip-hop is for the advancement of the culture, you know, and a lot of things is hip-hop. People don't understand that rap is a part of hip-hop. It's one of the elements of hip-hop. So there used to be a hardcore 5. Now there's like 10, and I think there's even more now that they added to the list. But rap is what you do. Hip hop is who you are and the culture that you came from. You know, so when I'm at work, and I'm gonna tell you, you see me, I go to work like this, man. I go to work like this.
What do you do?
I work at the Pro Desk of Home Depot. I'm a Pro Desk associate. So and I'm one of the top titles there. You know, so I'm a what you call a pasa. And what I do is I handle many different companies' accounts when they go and they start, having a project that they need. I go and I build them a quote. I give them a delivery options, special order options. I also do 3D decking for people, and I'm also a delivery driver too. So that's just the 9 to 5 that I do.
So I'm gonna give you
Um,
real quick, and then we'll get back to the interview. But I love the idea. You're not afraid to admit that your favorite artist Eminem. But then in the same you tell us about 1990 and the songs that you came out with, how you're highlighting the idea of thinking narrative about black people.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really cool thing to hear someone. A lot of times people that talk about they want to change the narrative about loving black people, loving brown people, lifting us up, but then don't say anything about everyone else.
Right. But see, the thing about with M is he have said in multiple times and through his raps where he paid homage to the people who came before him. You know what I'm saying? So when I hear people talk, and especially the pro-blacks, some pro-blacks that I know who they hate on him because he's a white person in hip-hop. And he's not only just a white guy, he's one of the best MCs, period. You can't hate on that. You can't hate. Regardless, people will say, oh, he's only famous because he's white. He said it, and if he was black, he would have sold half. And I'm like, cool, but guess what? Take him out the group. Take his color out the group. He's spitting better than most of your people that's out there.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? And the fact that not only he's spitting, he's keeping the culture alive. Because most of the people that look like us in hip-hop don't give a damn about hip-hop. What they do is they make their little rap music and make their little rap videos and not do anything for the culture. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But when you got Eminem who goes on a platform on BET and does a whole freestyle dissing the Trump administration, he didn't have to do that.
He did,
but he used his whiteness as a platform to say, "Yo, stuff is going on here," And I think that's dope because you got people like Jane Elliott. You know who Jane Elliott is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. We need people like that.
Yep.
Without people like that, like I tell people, I said, you know what? Without people like Jane Elliott, the slavery probably would have went longer than what it should have been.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? Because you needed people in that infrastructure on the other side to make those laws and make those changes and everything. Even though now I think that voting is bullshit anyway, because like me and my dad, we were saying, I was like, yo, what do you do when you don't want to vote for nobody? You wait the next turn? I'll just sit this one out.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's crazy. So when you have somebody, like, you cannot deny skill. You can't deny skill.
Nope.
It's like what I told you about Lil' Kim. As a man, I don't have a problem saying that one of my influences is a woman. Why? When you hear everybody else talk about their favorite MCs, it's like only the females will say, well, of course, because I'm a female and but like, I'm like Nas. You watch the Roxanne Shante, little documentary. Nas don't have a problem saying that he was influenced by Roxanne Shante. So I do hip-hop fashion too, and I got a lot of clothes with my favorite artists on it, 3D animations on it and everything. Like, I got all the Lil' Kim's albums on my shirt. I got 50, I got LL Cool J, I got Biggie, I got Tupac, I got Nas, I got Remember the Snoop Dogg Gin and Juice video?
Absolutely.
Remember he had the Pittsburgh Penguin jersey with Gin and Juice on it?
Yep.
I got it.
Hey, shout out to my guy Marvin Baxter. He just jumped in. That's our shot right there.
What's up, Marvin? What's good?
The man right
there. Also got a Rough Rider jersey, the same Rough Rider jersey DMX had. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I pay homage to the artists that came before me.
Absolutely.
That's just what it is. The crazy thing about it is, it's like Eminem in the interview said that LL Cool J was the reason why he said that he wanted to become a rapper. Like the Beastie Boys gave him the idea that it could happen. But LL Cool J made it possible for him to do that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I feel the same way with M. So how do you feel when your favorite rapper, your favorite rapper's favorite rapper is your favorite rapper? You know what I'm saying? And then even on like I met KRS-One when I was in college back in like 2010, 2011. Okay. Took a picture with him and everything.
Nice.
You know, that's 50's favorite artist growing up.
It's crazy, right?
It is crazy. So it's like, I'm like, well, damn, I'm in good company.
Absolutely.
You know, so it's like, and also like even the business side, like even getting away from like the music, you know, also not just listen to my favorite artists, but I see what they going on, you know, business wise. 50's doing one hell of a job. LL Cool J. Oh man, like I would even say it's a comeback. I say the son's a hustler.
Yeah.
Everything that man touched turned to freaking platinum, yo. Like everything.
He had a few bumps.
Yeah, he had a few bumps. But you know, that's a part of being a hustler. You let that stuff slide, you know. Yeah. But the fact that, you know, like I said, everything that he turned was like music wise. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, he's one of the only artists that is global. Like there's some people out there, like some of your favorite rappers that ain't as big as 50. Like I remember back in the day, back in 2005 when 50 was beefing with Jadakiss and them lyrically. And he made the song and he was like, he was saying, he was like, yo, how you say? He said, your bars, people love your voice, but your butt is still loco. You know what I'm saying? Because he's talking about there's places in around the world. Give you for example, I was watching Jackie Chan. Jackie Chan was on, I think not the Breakfast Club. He was on Sway in the Morning, and they asked Jackie Chan, did they know anything about Wu-Tang? He didn't know who Wu-Tang was. But guess who he said his favorite rapper was? 50 Cent.
Do you? And I'm gonna ask you. You may have an answer. Do you think that some of these rappers stay local because they don't put themselves out there? You know, they don't have the right people around them.
On the scale of like Jadakiss and them, what Jadakiss, he's a real punchliner. Like Jadakiss is named top 5 for a reason. I never heard a weak Jada record. Never. Ever. Yeah. Never heard of a weak Jada record. But he hasn't really done any commercial records. You know what I'm saying? He haven't done any crossover records. You know, as street as Fifth is, he got some crossover records that, you know, will take him from beyond like the whole world, you know. So people, I guess they're afraid to step out of the box a little because they either feel like they selling out, but I'm like, it's music. You know what I'm saying? You do whatever you feel is right. You know, you don't always have to write from one perspective. You know, when you do that, you're only going to make music for the people who think like you. You know what I'm saying? So you can make a song about you being on your block. Only the people on your block is going to like understand where you're coming from, or people who it lives in different neighborhoods who's going through the same thing that you're going through that can relate to it. But then again, you go through places around the world or other places and they're not going to relate to it. You know, you got to know who your audiences are. That's why I respected like 50's game and the music. Like, he was talking straight to his people through the G Unit Radio mixtapes. Like, a lot of people forget about the G Unit Radio mixtapes. They just go based off of albums. I'm like, nah, Fifth had some bangers on the mixtapes. And a lot of artists did, like Wayne. Wayne had mixtapes, Dipset, D-Block, all of them, you know, had mixtapes. You know, you would find better material lyrically on a mixtape than you would actually do an album. Why? Because there's no requirements. You could do whatever you want to do on a mixtape. You know what I'm saying? It's underground. Yep. So you have a lot more fun. You have a lot, you know, lot going on and everything. So, you know, like I said, I'll look at the businesses. You know, I look at what they're doing, because in hip hop, you have to be a hustle. You have to be a hustler. You can't just be out here for the music, because the music changed. And even when you change, you got to learn how to change within the time, or you got to make music in certain pockets for you to get that edge. So music is forever changing. So you got to find out, you know, another hustle. You got to have more than one hustle.
So real quick, everybody that's watching, you guys are hearing a little echo. We've been working on that, and we apologize for that. We just continue rolling. Rap star, aka also known as Camden Hall.
Yeah.
I got a question for you real quick, Cam.
What's up?
If you weren't doing music,
If I wasn't doing music, I probably would be in academia. I probably would have been, you know, a college professor. There was a lot of things that I wanted to do. Being a college professor was one of them. I just haven't continued on to the schooling yet, but that was number one. When I went to college, I actually wanted to go for forensic anthropology that was my senior project when I was in high school. And I was gung-ho about being, you know, forensic anthropology until a policeman told me that I would have to go to the police academy, and it stopped my dream because I don't like the police. Wow. So that stopped my dream from there. And then at college, I even switched to being like a sex therapist, but they don't make no money. So I kind of shied away from that. And then I really got into history. My history professors knew that they was like, yo, I think you're destined to do this because there's so much in you. With my father teaching me everything that I know, and my mom, you know, little stuff that she used to do. So I gravitated towards that. Even if I wasn't doing that, I would have probably been like maybe an artist, because I used to draw. That's actually my first talent. I get it from my father. My father is an awesome draftsman. Like he draws all through his mind. He don't trace, he don't copy. It's all through his mind. And all of the characters that he makes up is all in his mind. They're like made up, you know, from his mind. He even got stories on them. He paints with like paint brushes, like not paint brushes, but like nail polish, you know, paint, and he uses that, and he put like certain things. Like he drew like this Egyptian woman, and she had braided hair, and son actually learned how to braid so he can glue that braid and put it on the joint to make it lifelike. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I get my talent from him, you know. So I think it would be, you know, something like that. If it not in hip hop, I definitely would be like a college professor.
Well, I'm gonna tell you something. I don't know if you know.
it.
I'm gonna give you a quick.
history
So
So
I did music.
I did music
my
my whole life.
I was born and
I was
raised.
born and raised.
I was a singer.
I was a singer up
Out the womb. I
out
was
the
singing.
womb. I was singing.
Went through
Middle school, high school,
singing at national major places.
Doing a lot of good things.
After high school, got into a group.
Called School.
And did a lot of
great
that group.
But
It
it
just
wasn't
progressing,
progressing,
right?
right?
And so I decided.
That's funny you say that because I actually rapped in church before.
Did you write a rap?
All right. So what had happened was I wrote a few records. Some of them did. Some of them did.
Yeah.
At this time, like I said, this was around like what 2014. So I was like 13. So at the time when my mom was going to church, they had choir. So my mom put me in choir. And it was crazy because at that time my voice started to really deepen. So they put me with the baritones and everything like that. So they just like that, even though I can't sing worth a darn. But they just needed somebody with bass, and I was, filling that void. There was this woman, I forgot her name, but she was the director of the children's choir. Actually, the funny thing about it was her boyfriend at the time was one of the DJs that worked at my mom's radio station. So she was on the keyboard, and being that I was a rapper, I was definitely not no Christian rapper. Like, you could find me coming into church and wanting to battle somebody like right in front. Like, let's go, son. Like, I was one of them. And she thought that, me writing a song for the church and performing it at church would be good. So I remixed 3 songs. I remixed at the time Chingy. It was like 2003. So Chingy came out with his single Right There. Mm-hmm. And I turned it from Right There to In the Church Right There. And I remixed In the Club to In the Church.
Okay.
And the one song that I didn't pan out with was, if you know 50 Cent song Wanksta, I wrote a song called Wishton, which is a wannabe Christian, because a wankster is a wannabe gangster.
Yeah.
And they ain't like that too much. they ain't like that too much. I think I was like, you said you a Christian, but you never pray for nothing. We say you a Wishton, and you need to stop. Yo, I was going crazy because at the time, like, like I remember I had to, this was like around that time, so I'm in like 7th grade and I was having a hard time. Me and my mom, we was like having a hard time with each other, and it was affecting my schooling. So I had to make up some grades in my algebra class. Mm-hmm. So my teacher asked me to do a rap to get credits. So I got the Ja Rule song Clap Back, and I renamed it Rap Math. We gonna rap math. We gonna rap math. We gonna rap math. We gonna let's get this A-ho. Like it was crazy. So like So and then even like in college, like I had like, I want to say one of the years of my college, I had 2 Latin American history classes. One of them got canceled because they couldn't find enough people to fill the class. So I had to pick another class, and at last minute they put me in the CPR class, which was dope. And it actually came in handy because I actually saved like a woman that I work with like a few weeks ago from hacking on something. So gave her the Heimlich on that, and she kind of regurgitated back out. She rewarded me with what was like a wine and spirits card that didn't have no balance. She rewarded me with a wine and spirits card that had no balance. But When I was in college, you know, so I was in the CPR class, and one of the main credits what we had to do is we had to do something to describe what we learned. And I did a song called Breathe. And it was fabulous. This song Breathe, you know, one into the two into the. I did that. I was the remix. I mean, I come on, my influences. 50 did a remix to every goddamn song out there. I could play a Prince record and I'd be like, yo, 50 did a remix to that. I could play a Bobby Womack and be like, oh yeah, 50 did a remix to that. You know, Isley Brothers. Oh yeah, 50 did a remix to that. So like, that's what got me, was doing remixes to better my skills of being a writer. So now I don't have to go and copy a song. Now I can write my own songs because I know the song format. So when I came into writing 1990-ish and everything, it was second nature because I was looking for this type of beat for so long. You know, so you know, that's how I am, you know, as a writer. And not only that I write, I'm connected with BMI. So I got my writer's license. So I got a license for being a writer, from writing my own songs. And I also got a publishing license, you know, so I can publish my work. You know, these are things that you need. You know, anytime an artist want to do a feature with me or say something, they be like, yo, we want to do a collab. And I'll be like, you got a music license? I didn't help people get music license, even without the country. There's a record that I got called Banbo, BANBO, which is an acronym for Bars Ain't Never Been Ordinary. And the guy who made the beat is from Canada. He didn't have a music license, so I Googled the music license over in Canada. I think it's like OSCAN or something like that. And I helped him get his music license. So now when you make a beat, you just don't sell it to the person. You can actually sell it to the person and actually get residuals for it. Yep. That's hip hop. That's hip hop for me. You know, if I got some information, I need to pass it on to the next artist who might not know. Just like I would appreciate if there was some things that I had no knowledge of, and an artist could be like, hey, yo, I want to show you something about this, that, and third. This is how you do it. That's all hip hop, you know.
Absolutely. So I got one more. Yes, we went over an hour, and try and keep it around.
I know my wife said I talk too much.
No, you good. That's you know what? That's the beauty of doing interviews. Is that interviews are about you. So,
yeah.
So you get the opportunity to share the information that people want to hear, and they don't know get to hear.
Oh yeah.
Get them on tap.
Right. And that's actually something that I learned as well. So you know how, you know, it's 2023, right? So what we do is we have places like the Breakfast Club, we have places like Power, we have other places, other radio stations, and they go and they do interviews with these artists, right? And it's a visual thing now. You can actually see them in the room, having the interview. Even if they're not physically in the room, they're on a podcast talking like we're talking right now. Back when I was, you know, writing rhymes, of course, we didn't have that. You know, what I did was the interviews that I would see or I would hear them from like G-Unit mixtapes, where they would have like a snippet of, you know, the copy of the interview. Or I would listen to like a get a mixtape of like, let's say, Street Wars, and it has like all these rappers, you know, battling because they got beef with each other and everything, and they would play like a clip of like a radio show and everything, of them talking about the situation, or them at Hot 97 spitting freestyles. The only thing that we got that was close to it was like BET The Basement. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate things like this because it's more personable. You know, you had to read about your favorite artist. You know, we're spoiled now because we can actually tune into our favorite artists anytime that we want. You think, and only imagine in the 90s trying to see what was the day in the life of Tupac by random.
Right.
What was the day in the life of Nas? What was the day in the life of Rakim? What were they doing on a daily basis?
Right.
You know, what was they doing? You know, studio time. How would they vibe in the studio? You know, you would see these lost footage coming from everywhere, and they're hard to find. Just like they said that Jermaine Dupri got like a unreleased Biggie Smalls record.
Really?
That's over 30 years old.
And he's just gonna hold it.
Yeah. So, you know, it's crazy like that. So that's why I like value, you know, podcasts like this, because we're getting into the whole generation of people getting to know the artist as not only the artist, but you know, them personally. You know, so it's like I know Eminem, I know how he grew up by watching documentaries and interviews that he done. Same with Fifth and all my other, you know, artists, you know, that I look up to. So that's the reason why, even when I do concerts and I go perform somewhere, I go right before and I watch my favorite artist. I'll watch LL Cool J rock a show. I watch Little Kim rock a show. I watch DMX. You know, I watch the stock. Was it the Woodstock where X had the red suspenders and he had the Timbs and he's like, "My dogs go, your dogs go," and I mean, like, well, like, you know, so that's how I groom myself like that.
Absolutely. So let me ask you this. Thank you so much.
Of course.
The viewers. Obviously, before guys that are watching, make sure you guys go and check out music. Put us on all platforms. I actually am looking at my iTunes. To be happening in ASAP as soon as I'm done here. What do you want people to do?
Say that one more time.
What do you want people to remember about you when you leave this earth?
Man, I want people to remember me, excuse me, as a revolutionary, somebody who gave knowledge to the people, whether if they wanted to receive it or not. Somebody who loves the culture, like really loves the culture. Somebody who is never afraid to speak his mind, don't care what anybody else thinks about him. I always been like that. There's people that I went to high school with and middle school, and they be like, "Yo, ever since we known you, you never cared what people thought about you," you know. But I want people to think about the things that I'm doing for my Black and brown people, and the things the legacy that I'm carrying on, because I feel like once I actually get into the gate, I can be able to help other artists that's like me and try to break that barrier. See, my whole ideology is I'm trying to change hip hop back to where it was. We have a few artists that's actually, you know, doing something, but for the most part, the system ain't working. And we actually need to get back to having more positivity within the music. Not saying that, you know, everything that's going around is negative, but at least at some point we need to have people, you know, having some hope. You know, as rough as the 90s were, I know a lot of people that especially the people who were older than me, they say they hated the 90s because, you know, a lot of people died back then with the gangs and everything. Just they hated the 90s for it because of everything that was going on. But like I tell them, I say, you know, you got to take the good with the bad. But the one thing about it was the 90s was real. It was real.
Yeah.
Rather if it was positive or negative, it was real. And the things that I grew up on, I always tell people it's not even just hip hop. Like me being a 90s kid, I grew up watching Reading Rainbow. I grew up watching Wishbone. Why? That led me to read books. That led me to read challenging books, other books that actually made sense. A lot of people, they don't read anymore. There's a lot of people that do, but like the majority, a lot of the things that you can actually read, you can pull up your phone. You don't even need to get a book.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I want literacy to come back. I want knowledge to come back within the hip hop. As to a point as I'm not trying to shove a genre out the, out of the equation, but I'm just trying to make room for another genre that's been missing for so long. Even in the 90s, as rough as the 90s was, Tupac was still telling you to keep his head up.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just what I want my legacy to be, is somebody who actually care about the culture and care about the people and is trying to bring enlightenment to the Black and brown people.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
And self-love.
Absolutely. Before we go, I want to say something to you. Never give up on your dream. Obviously, you have an amazing, I think you just have a lot of information for people to hear. Not just about yourself, but about the culture, the history, some of the things the media people need to work on, politics. I mean, you hit all these things. Like I've done interviews with people that were in the music, and a lot of them wouldn't be able to go each category that you just went through.
You know what? I'll tell you. I remember there was this one artist. I'm not going to say his name, but I remember me and him, we was speaking one day, and I told him about a record that I was doing at the one time. And the record was a song about police brutality. Mm-hmm. And I remember telling him about it, and he told me, he said, I wouldn't talk about that, because you might get indicted on some stuff and everything. And I was like, well, I'm not talking about killing nobody. I'm just talking about the things that actually need to be said as far as police brutality. Yeah. And I ended up not making the record at that point because around that time, my cousin got killed and he was a Pittsburgh police officer. So I was having mixed feelings, personal feelings, but then the personal feelings of every time I turn around, there's a Black or brown person getting brutalized, for no reason, so I was just going through something internal. But a lot of artists sometimes don't want to touch on situations because I guess even if they feel a certain way, most of them don't know how to articulate what they say. And they don't want to get, things out of misconstrued and stuff being missaid and everything. I just think that if they would, some of the artists, if they actually took time to think about the things that they wanted to say, that they would get a lot more than just the basic talking about the music. Because a lot of people will say, well, stay away from that subject, stay away from this subject, it's controversial. You don't want to draw no heat to you. But it's like, if you fall for if you don't stand for everything, you fall for everything. Mm-hmm. You got to stand for something, and as an artist like me, who has history in his background, and I'm proud of my history. I'm proud of being, quote unquote Black man. I'm proud of being a Native American, Seminole Native American nation in Florida. I'm proud to be a Taino Native American from Puerto Rico. I'm proud, to have, those in me. Mm-hmm. So when I see somebody that looks like me or has the same culture as me, or I can identify and be like, yeah, he's like me. Why wouldn't I want to share that with people?
Absolutely.
You know? So I'm looking at it as this is one nation. It is what it is. This is one nation. We're not, you know, individual tribes. We're just extension of another. That's all it is. We are an extension of one another. You know, so when I see somebody from Africa, I look at them as an extension of myself. When I see somebody from the islands, whether it's Puerto Rico, DR, Jamaica, Cuba, the Virgin Islands and everything like that, I look at them as a brother. When I see Mexicans, Guatemalans and everything like that, I look at them and I'm like, yo, they an extension of myself. If I see another Native American, no matter what nation is, I look at them and I say, they're an extension of myself.
For sure. Well, I
Well, I
appreciate
appreciate
sharing
you
that,
doing
man.
that, man.
It's definitely, needed. Much needed.
Much needed.
Not just from us, but from everyone. We gotta, you know, reach out to each other and learn and not look at someone differently because they look like you, sound like you, like just love everybody.
You know what? One last thing. The crazy thing is, like, I used to think about it, and I say, you know what? There was only one positive thing that happened during the North Atlantic slave trade with slavery. You know what that was?
What was it?
They brought all the brown and black people together. So imagine if you go back in history about like maybe about 700-800 years.
Mm-hmm.
You and I's nation, if we was, imagine if me and your nation, we had some type of beef, ancestral beef. It's possible now that me and you are talking like we brothers. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's the thing about it. When I tell people about the slavery and I say, see, we were never black until we came to the United States. The reason why we came black is because we had so many other nations crammed into that slave ship and dropped here from the Caribbean to South America to North America by force. And when you have that, we form a bond because we're oppressed. So we share a bond. So we're no longer Ashanti. We're no longer Fulani. We're no longer Zulu, even though Zulu's in, you know, South Africa. I'm just saying that as an example. But we look at each other as that's a black man right there. That's one of my peoples, you know. And I think we need to go back to, you know, the nations that we have to reach out and be like, you know what? Yeah, this is the black community. We got a whole bunch of people here. It's like Freedom Town. You go to Africa, Freedom Town. There'll be a lot of people in Freedom Town that don't even like originally belong in Freedom Town because these were slaves that were dropped, like Amistad, the African slaves who was caught and everything like that, and they brought them back over to Sierra Leone and everything like that. A lot of those Africans aren't even native from there. They're just like the people from here, you know. So we got the Black Power movement, with the Black Panther movement. We got, you know, the Young Lords, the Puerto Ricans, you know. So that's just what it is, you know. I just love my black and brown people so much. We come together and we can do amazing things.
Absolutely.
All right. Cool.
Well, hey, we're over time, which is all good. You know, I'm here solo, about to get off here and go make something to eat. But Rap Star, we have to do this again once you finish with the album, and we may have to see you one more again at that time.
Oh man, yeah, we can make some time, man. Because like I said, I got some heat coming. Some heat coming. So,
well, hey, we'll keep you in the loop, brother. Appreciate you for being here again, guys. Next week. Saturday,
Make sure you tune in. We got
a young
phenom
comedian, young lady. That's gonna be here. Her name is Allison. Fine. Make sure you guys tune in. Amazing person. She's not only a comedian, she's a social worker. She does a lot. And we're gonna learn a lot from her on Saturday. So tune in Saturday at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And catch up with myself. It's been fun. Right here on the couch.
Yeah.
All right.
So, on behalf of the circle, thank you guys so much for being here. We will see you guys next week.
Take care.
Peace.
Peace.